Good evening. Crawley Town versus Derby County is the penultimate game on the list of third round ties in this season's FA Cup. The weekend was eventful, that's an understatement. 30 ties supplied 101 goals, plenty of drama and controversy, but it's always the same because everyone wants to win this famous trophy.
So away we go. Will one of the third round shocks come here? A truly evocative FA Cup tie.
The players may have changed, but the cause remains. What a start that is! Sol Bamba! Leeds are at it again! Giggs scores! It's Milner, just like that, the equaliser!
Cesc Fabregas saves the Gunners.
And Milner, low and hard, Tevez! And Hart spilling it! The Walker Stadium erupts!
Bolton Albion are heading in the fourth round for the first time in their history.
Bostwick! Stevenage have hit the jackpot! Here's Peter Wynn! Sensational from Stevenage! And it's a day that the good citizens of Stevenage will never forget!
Hoping to join weekend winners, non-league Crawley Town. They beat League One Swindon in round 2, so they have to go up a gear to beat Championship Club Derby. But they reckon they can do it, and they'll give it everything they've got. In the FA Cup, sponsored by Eon, live here on ESPN, it's Crawley Town versus Derby County. Crawley might stand 61 league places below their opponents, but in the Cup it's dangerous to count on anything, and Derby have won it before.
Here comes goal number 1. Dally Duncan miskicks and Charlton's Bert Turner kicks through his own goal. A stroke of luck for Derby, it sent the crowd goal crazy. This time a Derby player knocked the ball into his own net. 1-1 and 5 minutes to go, and are the customers glad they got a ticket? The King and Queen and the Earl of Athlone watch a great cup final. And here's Derby's second, a picture goal by red-headed inside left Peter Doherty. Once in front, these boys take some stopping, and they're putting out the flags in Derby already. And here's another. Centre-forward Stamp nets Derby's number 3, and does it get applause? And it's in again with goalie Sam Bartram beaten after a grand dive. And every Derby hat goes into the air for a 4-1 victory. Beaten in 3 cup finals, Derby County knots their first win, and skipper Jack Nicholas gets a royal handshake and the coveted silver trophy.
Derby Cup winners in 1946. Over recent seasons, they've consistently made progress in the early rounds of the Cup. 3 fifth-round appearances in the last 4 years. 7 years since they failed to get past the third round. 55 years since they lost to non-league opposition. And it seems that Stephen Bywater doesn't like the camera in the dressing room. And here's the team news. Crawley's central defender and captain Pablo Mills began his career at Derby. He made 64 appearances for them. Up front is Matt Tubbs, top goal scorer in the Blue Square Bet Premier with 19 so far this season. For Derby, Miles Addison starts for the first time in 10 months, and Chris Commons makes his 300th career appearance tonight. Out of contract at the end of the season, yet to agree new terms. Rangers reportedly interested in signing him. And here in the studio, welcome to Steve McManaman alongside Graham Wesley, the manager of Stevenage. What a weekend you must have had.
Yeah, it's been a chaotic time. Fantastic time and very enjoyable for everyone associated with the club.
Steve, nice to see you. Now, Steve, just take a look at the monitor and have a listen to this and explain yourself, please.
Am I allowed to jump off
I didn't take the Lord's name in vain there, did I, as well?
Yeah, I'm not sure you're supposed to treat an iconic trophy like this with such irreverence.
I dropped it in 92 when I held it, so I thought the next time I hold it, I might as well drop it again. So, you know.
One thing, see your immediate reaction. Sort of, you always had a great first touch.
Right. Yeah, there you go. I am sorry for dropping that.
Touch isn't what it used to be, Steve.
Exactly. It's such a cherished trophy. I'm sorry.
You actually keep well away from it this evening.
No, I won't go
Put a
anywhere
bit of
near.
distance
I should
between
swap places with this gentleman.
So, what did you do today? You got everyone's feet back on the floor at Stevenage?
Yeah, we worked hard today, ran hard, and made sure that we got ourselves back in the frame of mind to win at the weekend, because it's always got to be, it's a cliche, but it's always got to be about the next game. It's a big one for us at the weekend. Yeah.
Reading next up, what was your reaction to that?
I was delighted, actually. I think we're at home again, and we're always a dangerous side at home. We've not lost a lot of games there in the last couple of half years, so we're looking forward to it.
Now there have been developments about the terrible incident at the end of the game when Scott Laird got punched, and now I understand that the police have got somebody responsible for this. They have made an arrest.
Well, from minute one, I said leave it to the administrators. The focus should stay very much on the lads' victory. I think it'd be a shame for anything to distract. Yeah. But let's let the administrators allow things to take the course.
Yeah, my understanding is it's a personal issue, but just bad.
It's terrible. It spoiled the day, didn't it? And also, I think it was such a cowardly act. The poor player didn't even know what was happening, to be hit by the side by someone who's not even looking at it. I think it's appalling, really. It should be banned for as long as we can give him.
Yeah, very important though, as you say, that it shouldn't deflect from one of the greatest shock results in the FA Cup history.
Yeah, that was Scotty's immediate reaction. Don't let it detract. Let's get the focus on the football. And people call it one of the biggest shocks of all time. I think, especially in this day and age, with the gap being so wide between Premier League and everything else that's going on. So the lads did themselves real proud.
Yeah, I think they did. They were fantastic. I think he can't say it, but I think it was an incredible victory for them.
Now, Crawley against Derby. Tonight's match will be settled in 90 odd minutes of football, but here's the story of Crawley Town so far and the progress they've made in 90 seconds.
Crawley was originally formed in 1896. We were the Red Devils before Man United. We've probably come up, I'd be guessing, but I'd say 5 or 6 steps since we first formed to where we are now. Big game, but it was all towards the end product of getting us to round 3, which was away at Brighton, down at the Goldstone ground, which unfortunately we lost. The old stadium was a great old-fashioned football club, with typical grassroots, whereas this is a purpose-built football stadium. Although we are a non-league side, we're a full-time professional outfit.
The club has twice been in administration. 3 or 4 years ago, they came actually within 1 hour of being liquidated totally.
We were formed in 1896, but you could say that we were reformed 2 years ago.
Chris Winfield invested a huge sum of money. He just went about clearing the club's debts, which were way into 7 figures, and now called the Man City of the conference.
We finished the end of last season with an average attendance of 1,012. And we're already up over 1,700 average now. We see ourselves as getting to League One in 3 or 4 years. This will be the biggest game in the history of this football club.
On the way as kick-off approaches, we'll hear from both managers who have plenty of history, having faced each other in non-league football over the years. And they didn't send each other Christmas cards, they don't get on. And we'll meet the players from both teams.
You missed!
Next Saturday here on ESPN, the Barclays Premier League action is West Ham versus Arsenal. One on the table, Hammers take on title-chasing Gunners, 4:45 start. Earlier in the day, Celtic have grabbed the initiative in the SPL title race, and coverage of their away game at a struggling Hibs side gets going at 11:30. On the subject of third-round FA Cup shocks, League 2 Stevenage were worthy winners against top-flight Newcastle. League 1 Notts County beat Premier League Sunderland, and away from home too. And League 2 Burton Albion got the better of Championship Club Middlesbrough. It was a nightmare for the North East clubs. And hoping to make it 4 shocks, non-league Crawley Town, who are about to play Derby County of the Championship. Let's meet both teams, starting with the Red Devils of
This is our supposed to be keeper. Couldn't catch a call, to be fair. One of the old lads in the group as well. Good lad, really. This is Wills. Been here for about 20 years. Knows everything about the club. Just do a testimony soon as well. This is Kyle.
AKA, no.
See, he's got a big hooter. Dino. Into his herbs and all that. He's a bit of a weirdo, to be fair. Allman. Coming out. Don't want to get that a bit serious. Good banner though, good lad. This is Scott Nielsen, little leprechaun, Essex boy in that. This is Serge, crazy hairdo. Thinks he's a bit of an Argentinian player, but he's never been Argentinian really, like, but he's a good lad as well. This is Richard Brodie, our record signing. Ugliest man in football, to be fair. Good lad though. This is Tubbsy. Thinks he's a bit of a ladies man. Does alright, to be fair to him. Next to you. Yeah, good lad. And this is good lad, mate. This is Jamie Cook. Old guy cigar, to be fair. Real chilled out guy. Good banter as well.
Pablo Mills, club captain. Sick of them going on about playing the championship and fall back in at Rotherham. I've told them we're all in the conference for a reason. Me and Wills walking through town last week, see him getting his teeth whitened. Good lad though.
I'm Robbie Savage and I'm going to give you a tour of Derby County's training ground. So we've got pictures on the wall, Sonny and Botham, Nigel Mansell, me. This is the boot room. Oh, and this is Davo. Where's my boots, Davo?
I don't know, don't care either.
Right, I'm going to show you now where we have our pro zone. So this is where all the stats are. He's been in the gym recently, haven't you? Get your guns out, lad. He's been in the gym. Watch, I still got him. Look, I still got him. Show this on the camera. See, show this on the camera. You can go in the gym all you want. You can't get out the headlock. And this is our canteen. Oh, this is the chef. All right, Rob. You're the best soup maker in Britain. Although the other day, we had orange squash for soup. It was that thin. I'm going to take this movie for Stephen Bywater. Wow. This is gorgeous. This is going to be the next Robbie Savage, isn't it, doesn't it? And you're gorgeous. This is the gym. Stevie! You didn't have your breakfast this morning. Oh yeah, I've got it for you there. Don't drop it, will you? Oh, this is Russ. We haven't seen him for after 6 months, like Russ. Are you still here? Coming in there now, Evel. I'm coming, Evel. Morning! Ah, you missed! You missed! Top man. Come from Tranmere. We should have got Jennings, but never mind. And this is Paul Evans. Remember Evel? Play for who? Oh, Cole! This is the top best player in the championship again. Says I big him up and he just killed me, didn't he, lad? Yeah. This is the changing rooms. Like Tommy, lad. He's from Poland, he is. Scored header there. Savage, back post.
Yeah,
1-0. Remember it?
And Poland beat Wales as well in Poland.
No, it didn't.
Yeah.
Well, you weren't playing.
Oh, no.
Right, we'll see you later. What's inside my locker? Brush, shampoo, conditioner, photos. Oh, there you go. My mum and dad. Sports! All right, lad. Top man he is. Best table tennis player at the club. Beat me in the final, lad, didn't you? Yeah. Just little forehand. Remember Big Daddy? You got me there. He's here! I'm just lacing my boots, ready to go to training. Hope you enjoyed the tour of the training ground. As you can see, no gloves, no snood, no hat. Tough as nails.
Stevenage manager Graham Wesley is alongside Steve McManaman in the ESPN studio. For all the joking around from Robbie Savage, he's been stressing just that his players have to take this so seriously tonight.
Well, I think Nigel is going to know what Steve and his boys are all about, and that's going to make them dangerous in Nigel's mind, because there's some good lads there with a lot of ambition, and as he says, probably one or two that could play up a level. So it's an interesting night.
Do you think Stevenage, Notts County and Burton Albion did Derby a bit of a favour with the shocks of the weekend, reminding them of just exactly what can happen?
Well, to a certain extent, yeah, but if you're a championship side coming to a non-league side in the third round of the FA Cup, that's what traditionally we talk about in the third round. We talk about giant killing acts. Nobody wants to be beaten by a non-league team, regardless of what division you're in. But if you're in a championship side and you're Nigel Clough, there's no way you want to come here and lose, because it's, it'll be a huge embarrassment for the players.
Everything everyone always says, sometimes complacency seems to set in. Now, what about Matt Tubbs? How good a player is he?
Well, I tried to sign him last season. I think he'd have made the world of difference to us in the conference. He's got a great eye for goal. He's got good pace. He can get at the back of defenders, and he's looking even more dangerous this year than he has previously. So he's got it together, Tubbs, and a lot of clubs are interested in him.
Do you think he's equipped to trouble a championship defence?
I think any player that has got the technical ability to put the ball in the back of the net, and he's ruthless with a chance, any player like that is always going to be dangerous.
Now, as far as Derby are concerned, what are your impressions of their goal threat this evening and how they'll go about it?
Well, Chris Collins is going to play a major part, isn't he? He scored 13 goals this year, rich vein of form, but he's in dispute with the club about staying on, but they'll have to rely on him to score the goals tonight. You know, he wants to go out, if he does leave the club, he wants to go out with his best goal scoring record at the club, and he could do that. But it's important that they step up to the mark. These are better quality players, Derby County. No disrespect to Crawley players, but these are better quality. It's going to be a battle. The conditions are going to suit Crawley to a certain extent, so they have to battle, fire away, and during the game you presume the cream will rise and their quality will stand through, but it's going to be difficult for them.
How do you balance ability against attitude on an occasion like this?
I think the psychology is quite interesting tonight in the sense that there's a lot of the Derby lads, 3 or 4 of them, Brayford being an example, who've played down in the conference. So the Crawley lads are going to be feeling they're playing against lads that they know, lads whose ability isn't in question, from their point of view. They're not going to put themselves as inferiors, and I think that could be an important factor.
Yeah. How come all these league places just evaporate? Sort of the team at the weekend, Stevenage, were just absolutely terrific, and sort of top flight Newcastle just couldn't do anything about it.
On the day, we spoke at a press conference, didn't we, Friday? On the day, if you perform better than your opposing people, if you've got your majority of the team doing that, one-on-one, your own personal battles, if you go out and win them, you'll eventually win the game. And I think that's what it is. That your mindset has to be so strong in times like this, because they've got everything to lose, Derby County, tonight, so they have to be as professional as possible and go out and get the job done. 9 times out of 10 they'll come and beat these teams quite comfortably. But the odd time we'll talk about for a long, long time.
Are you enjoying the rain? It's blowing in. It's a great night for football.
Conditions are going to make it interesting, aren't they? I think that, you talk about levellers, and conditions out there this evening are going to really be a leveller.
Yeah, this is a proper night for football. Okay, let's hear from the two managers. The suggestion is they don't get on. Daryl's been talking to the pair of them.
Steve, can I just start by asking you about the war of words, can we call it that's going on this week ahead of this game with Nigel Clough? How's the relationship?
Well, I've got a lot of respect for Nigel Clough. We've had a little bit mind games off the pitch, as you know, reminding of each other of what we've said in the past, but that won't come into it about 8 o'clock, will it? That'll be for the players to do the talking.
What's your relationship like with Steve Evans? A few words have been said ahead of this game. What do you make of it all?
Absolutely fine. I haven't seen Steve for a couple of years, so looking forward to seeing him.
Have the mind games worked?
Well, we don't know. They seem to be talking a bit about us and the preparation, and Nigel Ward's have been exemplary, and they've come down yesterday and they've sneaked on our pitch today to test their footwear and things, so a lot about both sides, but I don't think that'll have any determination on the result. That'll be about players.
What kind of a test are you expecting here?
Oh, a very tough one. It isn't your normal run-of-the-mill conference side that we're coming to here. Lots being invested, and very much going to be, I think, league football next season for them.
You've knocked out Swindon already in this cup run. You've played teams in higher leagues, but how do you think you'll cope against a side from the Championship?
Well, this is a big test for us, isn't it? We believe that we've got League 2/1 players. We've possibly got 2 or 3 players that we believe, and they believe more importantly, that they could play at Championship level, but it's easy to think that as a footballer and harder to deliver it. So we're going to get a good test tonight. This Derby side could come here and beat us comfortably, but in the same token, if we produce the performance that we did at Swindon, I don't think there'll be many Swindon supporters would be surprised if we produce that performance if we give Derby a game.
What's it like being the bigger team for a change?
It can be uncomfortable at times, with the sort of established players. Some of them look forward to coming to places like this, but they've got to get used to it. It's 3rd round of the FA Cup.
Yeah, I think it's important that we're in the game at all stages, especially around the 70-minute mark. Now, that means from the first minute we need to be closing them down, playing to our game plan and trying to get our passing game going. We're a passing side now. That could destroy us against a team like Derby, because Nigel Clough only signs technically gifted players for that club. So it's a big ask for us tonight, but it's certainly a game we believe we can win.
Okay, final thoughts and final preparations in the Derby County dressing room. Robbie Savage will try and motivate his teammates. You know Nigel Clough very well, Steve McManaman.
Yeah, Nigel's quite a quiet, reserved character, isn't he? But I don't think you necessarily have to motivate Championship players. They know what kind of job they have to do tonight. They know what will happen if they lose tonight and what ridicule they'll face in the morning. It's on national television, so they'll know they have to go out and get the right result.
Is that something you play on from the other side of the coin?
Well, I think Steve will do it in his own way, and he's anything but quiet. He's a raucous guy. He wants to drive his players, and he'll certainly be setting some very, very tough targets for them this evening.
Okay, Crawley going to win this, do you think, guys?
I think Crawley will win. There you go.
What do you think, Graham?
I'm going to take Derby to edge it.
Okay. Right, we're all set. 61 league places seems such a huge gulf to overcome. Stevenage made 75 seem irrelevant, Notts County over 50. And you know what, when kick-off gets near and the home fans make a noise, you just suddenly think that everything is possible. Non-league Crawley versus Championship Club Derby. And on the commentary gantry, it's Craig Burley and John Champion.
There's been a football club in Crawley since 1896. But the town has never had a night quite like this. They've been in the third round once before, not here though, so this truly is a landmark occasion. The Crawley team is exactly the same as that which won their second round replay at Swindon. It's brimful of Football League experience. Strangely, the only player not to have made an appearance for a league club is 21-goal leading scorer Matt Tubbs, and such is the strength available to them that record signing Richard Brodie is only on the bench. Centre-back Pablo Mills used to play for Derby.
Well, if they can go to Swindon, John, and get a result, they certainly can cause Derby County problems here at home, no doubt about it. Plenty of experience. Mills, a former Derby player, the skipper. Plenty of legs in midfield in the wide positions, and Sergio Torres very direct. Billman will sit and allow Smith to go and attack, and up front Tubbs and McAllister. 33 goals between them, 21 of those for Tubbs in 24 appearances. That is going to cause any defence at this level problems.
Wins have been few and far between for Derby County of late, so confidence is low. And options are hardly plentiful, with Stephen Pearson injured, so too Russell Anderson and young American Connor Doyle away on international duty. So there's a first start of the season after lengthy injury for Miles Addison. Another of the younger brigade, Ben Pringle, also makes it alongside the elder statesman Robbie Savage, and Chris Commons is given a free role.
Well, it's everything to lose here for Derby County, being the championship club. The boys have already talked about that, the pressure's on, but you know they've got experience as well. They've had a decent season, although they're sitting 13th at the moment. No doubt Barker and Brayford can be got at the back. Green's really a midfielder but can play in there at right back. Savage and Addison, and it's good to see Addison back fit again after a lengthy spell out. High hopes for that lad. They'll just sit in there, the legs of Bailey and Pringle getting forward, and of course Chris Commons, who they hope to hold on to in this transfer window. One or two people saying that one or two clubs interested, including Glasgow Rangers.
Well, Derby are ready, but as yet the home side yet to emerge from that dressing room door in the background there. They're keeping their illustrious visitors waiting for a while, which is never a bad thing when the visitors are as nervous as Derby are this evening. Rain, as if on cue, beginning to sweep across Broadfield Stadium. Only started 10-15 minutes before kick-off, just adding to the sense of a big cut-tie occasion. It's being driven by a very strong wind, and conditions will be distinctly unpleasant. The pitch has been watered. It was beginning to dry out nicely with the strong breeze, but this rain will alter all of that. On this, a weekend when the honours have gone so far to Stevenage and to Notts County, whilst Leeds and Leicester City will fight on against the Giants. It is with some trepidation that Derby emerge, because this was the draw that no league team wanted. The FA Cup third round may yet hold one more shock. From the Broadfield Stadium, Crawley Town of the Conference against Derby from the Championship, live and in high definition on ESPN. Danny Bullman reached the semi-final with Wycombe in 2001. His direct opponent in the quarter-final, when they upset Leicester at Filbert Street, was Robbie Savage. They meet again this evening. Derby, twice the champions of all of England. Crawley in red this evening, 4 times winners of the Sussex Senior Cup. Crawley, the last remaining non-league representatives in this season's FA Cup, sponsored by E.ON. A trip to Torquay awaits the winners. And Crawley first to make a mark. They will have a very strong breeze at their backs in the first half, the non-leaguers. Attacking the end of the ground where the pocket of Derby fans are. McFadden. Then whacked it against his own man. Scott Nielsen. And that will be a Derby county throw, and they can just settle themselves a little on what Craig Burley, a former Derby player, could be an awkward evening for them.
Well, I think looking at the conditions, it might just be very awkward. It's almost raining, as you can see. It's swirling about as well. You just probably noticed from that corner kick that swung in, the wind got a hold of it, and McFadden did win the header. He will be a threat. I think Crawley will be a threat when you see Tubbs and McAllister up front. Certainly Barker and Brayford will have their hands full this evening if Derby are going to go through.
The wind playing tricks with minds as much as anything. Stephen Bywater punting the ball straight into touch. And in the back of the minds of one or two of these Derby players will be their last visit to a non-league ground 2 years ago in the third round, when they went to the New Lawn Forest Green Rovers and were 2 goals down in no time. They did recover that day, but only thanks to an 87th minute penalty. Cowpers, the former Brighton goalkeeper. Danny Bullman trying to shrug off Commons, got to the edge of the penalty area and went down. Nielsen will be tidied up by the former Welsh international Gareth Roberts. Torres. Who has the chance to go further in the FA Cup than his namesake. And on current form looks rather more likely to score.
I was going to say you probably couldn't argue with that at the moment, but maybe a new manager at Liverpool, interim or not, might just spark the normally excellent Fernando Torres into life. Anyway, it's all about Crawley and Sergio Torres this evening. The last time was here against Swindon when they drew. Obviously went to Swindon, the county ground, and got a result. He was very lively, very direct.
It is worth reiterating that Derby are playing into the teeth of, if not a gale, then at least a biting wind. This is Scott Nielsen. And Savage comes across for Derby. Chris Commons, one of the best players in the Championship. And no nonsense from Sergio Torres. Welcome to Crawley. And that was a nasty landing for Chris Commons.
Well, it's quite an abrupt shoulder charge from Sergio Torres, I will say that. You know, the referee hasn't deemed it, and certainly didn't look to have deemed it as a free kick at the time. I think he just then slipped on the surface with all that rain, and he's bundled himself over the top of the barrier. Now he looks okay. That's quite abrupt, that shoulder charge, and I think he's okay. It might look a bit worse than it is.
Well, if Derby didn't know what they were in for before, now they do. And yes, you would say on viewing the replay, probably a foul, but the referee couldn't be influenced by the fact that Commons ended up on concrete.
No.
Steve Evans is looking for tempo from his side, particularly in these early stages. But they weren't necessarily at their best in the first game here against Swindon. Much better at the county ground. Chris Commons has picked himself up, dusted himself down, but not moving with total conviction. Put up by Torres.
It's interesting. Commons is just playing slightly more on the left-hand side, John, with young Bailey in behind Porter. But no doubt you saw before that little run there, he had a lovely, his first touch in the turn just to get away from his marker was superb, and just I think shows you that I think he's a class apart from anything else on the field tonight. It's just whether they can get him into the game enough.
Paul Green, who's playing at right back for Derby, normally a midfielder. Roberts. Crawley began their cup run in the 4th qualifying round with a victory at Newport. Went and won 5-0 at Guiseley in round 1, and then saw off Swindon in a replay. Steve Evans in his 4th season in charge. He's not a man with whom you'd argue. Although, judging by his reaction, maybe someone's trying to.
Yeah, I just think Billman and Smith in the midfield will be looking to, shall I say, stamp their mark on Robbie Savage. He'll need no introduction. I think whenever a player who's played at a higher level comes to a lower league club or a non-league club, I think it's important for the players to get in their face, shall I say, and I'm sure that would have been the message from the Crawley manager. Wind him up, get him off his game.
Here's Roberts. Derby had a training session at a local club, Three Bridges, this morning. And then were driving back to their hotel and suddenly noticed they were passing the ground, so thought they'd pop in. Had a look around. Their presence was noted, if not necessarily appreciated, by Crawley.
Well, I think that's another little part of the mind games that has been played between these two managers, shall we say, not clubs.
It's offside against Matt Tubbs. Nigel Clough and Steve Evans crossing swords for the 8th time as managers, spread over 12 years. They met in the FA Cup 4th qualifying round 10 years ago when Nigel Clough's Burton beat Steve Evans' Boston in a replay. And there were words exchanged even then. Savage. Looking to feed Porter, the goalkeeper hesitated and then goes down, and Mark Hayward has bought it and has given the penalty.
Well, I'm not sure if he gets his arms away here in time, but there's one thing I can guarantee you: he gets himself into no man's land. Once Robbie Savage just scoops this little ball through, and it was a lovely little pass. Cowpers is out now. He's got no need to come this far because Pablo Mills is across, and I've got to say, from that angle, I don't see much contact at all. Get a better look at it here. That's not a penalty for me. That's a dive.
Well, it's a theme of the weekend in the FA Cup after Berbatov's tumble yesterday at Old Trafford.
Yeah, I kind of thought in first instinct, John, that his arms weren't fully outstretched. Now, I think he just cons him there. But in saying that, I mean, it's no right, but Cowpers was in no man's land for the ball through.
Penalty responsibility lies with Derby's playmaker. And there's some jostling on the edge of the penalty area, which the referee is going to have to sort out. It involves Pablo Mills, amongst others. The fact remains that Michel Cowpers put himself in a position where, contact or no contact, Porter could go down and could ask the referee. And Mark Hayward from West Yorkshire said penalty. It's Chris Commons. It's a poor kick, a really poor penalty, and Cowpers has made amends.
I think that's just rewards, John, I've got to say.
Commons again, and Cowpers with an easy catch.
Well, he made amends here, Cowpers, no doubt about it, because it certainly was his mistake in the first place for his starting position when he came out. It was a bad judgment, but at the end of the day, I think Porter dived. The referee bought it, Crawley got away with it.
Nielsen. Stumble there by Addison. So it's not been a good night for Commons so far. One nasty fall over the advertising hoarding. One failed penalty. Whistle's gone. Mills. It's over McAllister. This is Tubbs. And that's a corner. Dean Howell will take it. McFadden. Nielsen. Glenn Wilson with the throw. Bullman. McFadden. Savage. The referee has stopped play because of an injury to Sean Barker.
Well, let's have a look at this again. Another little ball from Robbie Savage, skipping away from a couple of players. Not a great line at the back from the two centre-backs. And it's soft, it's soft. Cowper's maybe steals a yard. Just off his line, makes a save. Not a great penalty. Porter was on his way down long before there was any contact, if indeed there was any at all.
Brayford. John Brayford, the Derby central defender. The one player in their starting 11 to have played here before. His days with Burton. Bullman. Now Porter. McFadden. Looks like it might have been a hand by Paul Green, but Dean Howell continues to vie for it. The referee explains he tried to play advantage. Pulls it back for the free kick. Crawley have lost only 3 league games this season. 2 of those defeats were here. They've been scoring goals aplenty of late, 30 in their last 10 games. Howell. McFadden! Just a glancing header rather than a more telling one.
Well, I think Porter's big striker who's picking him up, just sort of gets wrong side of him here. Luckily for Porter, the ball's just a little bit too high. I think he's leaning on him, just does enough as well.
Rain has eased a little, happily. As you can tell from the way Bywater's clearance hangs up, the wind hasn't. Porter, it's a foul. Playing for his future, Chris Porter. He's had a couple of injury-ravaged seasons since joining from Motherwell. And he's out of contract at the end of the campaign. Torres. Tubbs. Pringle. Nielsen. And Green guiding it out of play.
I think Tubbs has got to be mindful, John, Matthew Tubbs up front for Crawley, that even though he's their goal scorer supreme, that he's not going to do anything or try anything that's stupid. I thought his last attempt there was a little bit overzealous, to say the least.
It's Tubbs with the cross. Barker's header. Glenn Wilson. Danny Bullman. Now Ben Smith. Wilson! It's a corner.
Well, I think he's looking to whip the ball in here. Certainly the angle wasn't great. From good football from Crawley here, into feet, men supporting, midfield getting forward. He's trying to whip that in for one of his teammates, just low across that 6-yard box. Just lean back on it a little bit. And a little bit of fortune there, winning the corner really, from a poor cross in.
Tubbs is positioned right next to the goalkeeper. And the goalkeeper was rather lost there. Ended up floundering and flailing at the ball.
Yeah, I suppose it's going to be one of those evenings for goalkeepers that is you're going to have to be on the ball to read the ball's coming in, set pieces or crosses from open play, just because of the conditions.
Mills. On by Smith. This is Tubbs. And there's Brayford. And Derby were well aware of what they were likely to face tonight, because Nigel Clough has been here on a number of occasions with Burton. Coaching staff. Johnny Method on the right there, the former Dutch international.
No Forest player, wasn't he? Johnny Method for a period.
Tottenham and Real Madrid.
Oh yeah, I forgot about them. Good player. Cultured player, as you would expect from a Dutchman.
He could hit a free kick. There's also a fairly vocal presence usually on the touchline. He was sent off a couple of weeks ago at Nottingham Forest in that 5-2 thumping at the City Ground for making one remark too many to the officials. It's a slice by Brayford, but the offside flag was already up.
Well, it's been a good start for Crawley, taking away the penalty that obviously Chris Commons missed. Poor penalty saved by Cowpers. Probably just rewards. Well, I think they've been sharper. Non-league side, you talked about it, John, that Derby are playing into the teeth of this wind at the moment, so that's not easy.
We're referring to Crawley as non-league, given the scale of their expenditure and ambition. They don't feel like a non-league team. Referee plays the advantage, it doesn't accrue. It may be that we won't be calling them non-league for much longer, because they are strong favourites to be promoted from the Blue Square Bet Premier this season. McAllister could do. Mills. Now McFadden, who's been outstanding for Crawley this season, joined from Alfreton Town in the summer.
Well, most of the games have been played in the Derby half at the moment, John, which will bode well. I don't know how much of that is, as we've mentioned, down to the inclement weather conditions at the moment, although it seems to have settled down a little bit.
Wilson. Bullman. Paul Green. Pablo Mills. So an opening 21 minutes or so. With plenty of interest, one or two crunching challenges, and of course the penalty miss. Saved by Cowpers from Chris Commons. Derby finished 2010 with 5 consecutive defeats. Turn of the year has brought better fortune. A win and a draw. And they are just 5 points off the playoff places in the Championship. Brayford. Ben Smith. That's ambitious. Tubbs seems prepared to try from just about anywhere. Tubbs. It's Howell, that was late by Ben Pringle. And it's brought members of both coaching staffs off the bench. Crawley to protest to the referee, and Derby's to protest about their Crawley counterparts.
Yeah, well, there's no malice in it, he's just a little bit late. There's no doubt about that.
So Geordie Ben Pringle, he was on West Brom's books as a trainee. Derby signed him from Ilkeston Town, sadly now defunct. The officials have tallied up the crowd already, by the way, 4,145. Which will disappoint Crawley just a little because it's below capacity and not the ground record that they'd hoped for. Pringle looking for Porter. Bailey had cut off the route for Mills back to his goalkeeper. Savage, Commons, guided out by Scott Nielsen. Commons, Bailey, Commons.
Don't know why he didn't pull the trigger there. I think he's good enough on his opposite foot as well.
Forthcoming live football on this channel here on ESPN on Saturday. 2 live games from the Barclays Premier League. The bottom club West Ham, a London derby against Arsenal. And before that, A late morning start for Hibs against Celtic in the SPL. And also to look forward to a week tomorrow, our third round FA Cup replay live from Eastlands, Manchester City against Leicester. It's a very good game yesterday at the Walker Stadium. Sergio Torres. Full-blooded challenge involving Addison and Ben Smith. It's Ben Smith who got the 2 goals that won the second round replay at Swindon. I'm afraid the rain has returned. It's right in the eyes of Stephen Bywater and his Derby defenders. Torres. Danny Bullman, and off goes Matt Tubbs. Nielsen's in the middle. McAllister's arriving. And a header from Nielsen.
Oh, should have been the opening goal there for Crawley. Great play. Derby trying to play offside. It's Tubbs getting in the channel again. Very, very lively. Presence of mind to pick his head up. That's a beautiful ball, and it really is. He might just have been backing off a little bit, Nielsen, but in saying that, what is he central? He's 8 yards out, he's unmarked, and if they're going to go through in this third round, I'm afraid they're going to have to take chances like that because they might not come along too often.
Savage. Savage. It's won by Smith for Torres. James Bailey. And Porter is offside.
I was just wondering when he was going to put his flag down there, the assistant. I thought rigor mortis had set in these conditions. Shouldn't stand like that too long, you know, on a night like this. You'll get cold. It's all right for us up here with the big coats on and scarves and gloves.
I think you forget that he's nowhere near as old as you are, though, Craig.
I don't know.
Torres. McFadden. Barker beaten in the air. And as the header was flicked on towards Nielsen, he was offside. Well, the equivalent of footballing royalty here. And a man whose stooping header won the FA Cup for West Ham, Sir Trevor Brooking. Nielsen, Brayford, Green. That'll hold up in the breeze for Porter. Crawley are relieved that it then skipped through to the goalkeeper Cowpers. And that's a huge clearance, wind assisted, all the way through. McAllister trying to find Tubbs. McAllister again! They rode their luck, they used the gale force wind, and they lead Championship Derby.
Well, gale force wind or not, I don't care, I don't give a stuff. When this goalkeeper kicks out of here, you've got to have two centre-halves that can deal with it better than that. Now, why Barker's all the way up there, I don't know, he'll only want to answer that. Brayford's a lot deeper. And then after they get a little bit of luck here from the poor touch from McAllister. Again, the challenge, I think it's from Brayford, is half-hearted. It drops back at him, and that's a beautiful finish, I've got to say, but when your goalkeeper's kicking it out, if you're Nigel Clough, if one of your centre-halves doesn't go and put his head through that, then you've got a few questions to ask.
It was a huge clearance from Cowpers, but it should have been dealt with. And Craig McAllister, the Glaswegian, who's spent much of his career in the nether regions of league and non-league football, Woking and Exeter, strikes with his 12th goal of the season. And Crawley, who've had plenty of possession, now have a prized lead. And it's following a different pattern to their games against Swindon. They trailed in both of those in the second round. And Cowpers, who made a dodgy start with his involvement in the award of the penalty, then atoned by saving the spot kick, and now earns an assist on the Crawley goal. Bullman. Remember, the confidence of this Derby team is described as brittle even by those inside the club. Another chance! And this time it's Pringle who gets his boot to the ball to rescue the Rams.
Well, it's a good job the youngsters back in there helping out, and it's a second goal because he certainly saves it here. Does ever so well. That's brilliant from young Pringle, just doing his job at the back post. It's above and beyond the call of duty there, just making sure he's back in. Many of an experienced player won't even have bothered there. Great defending.
Crawley with their tails well and truly up. Dean Howell with the corner. McFadden's header. And Derby all over the place at the back. McFadden with the cross. And Derby are rocking. And this must be what Nigel Clough feared, a real all-out assault by the home side, Crawley, using the conditions certainly, and Derby will have those in theory in their favour after half-time. Nielsen, it's overhit. The referee though has pulled that back. Robbie Savage is aghast, but he's given a free kick to Crawley. Mills. It's a nondescript free kick this time from the Crawley skipper. Well, there was a huge roar when Crawley scored that goal through McAllister. And one of the contributors to that roar must have been Steve Evans, who's with Darrell.
Steve, since the penalty, I'm guessing this is to the plan, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's Clyde gets out of jail, doesn't he? Saves the penalty. But in my opinion, shouldn't have come out the ref's exactly right in his decision. I think since then we've been by far the better team. We've pressed the ball, we've tried to pass it. Maybe at times we've tried to overplay. But you know, there's a lot of football to go here. This is a good side we're playing, and we don't kid ourselves that they're going to have a spell in this game.
Will it be harder in the second half playing into this when you've got it behind you at the moment? It seemed to help in the goal.
Well, we're a passing side, so I'm not so sure that'll help us. I'll be a disadvantage. I'm just looking forward to us getting the ball down and playing more. And I genuinely think it's game on in cup time. I think if we get another goal, I think they've got a problem.
Thank you, Steve.
There's a scuffle off the ball involving Barker and Tubbs. It's behind the referee's back. He's not seen it yet, and it was a long way away from the referee's assistant. It was taking place close to halfway. Then a late challenge by James Bailey.
That's a booking. That's a booking for sure. You can pick him up all you like, but you should be going in the book for that. The other two were on the ground having a little scuffle as the play was building up. Now, is it a word or is it a card? I would imagine it's a card.
Overzealous, James Bailey, first yellow of the evening. And this was the scuffle.
Yeah, just backs into him there, Tubbs, and goes to the ground. A little bit of 6 and 2 threes, and then I don't think there's a great deal in it.
And now there are discussions, shall we say, involving finger pointing and 1 or 2 accusations. Johnny Method, and the 4th official, and Paul Rayner, the number 2 of Crawley, was also out there having his 2 penneth. Well, we may have had a quiet spell in this first half, but it's a feisty old cup tie now. Dean Howell. Tubbs. Howell. There's Brayford. Danny Bullman. Howell. Tries of shoot. Nielsen couldn't get the shot away. McFadden with the cross. Chris Commons facing his own goal. McFadden. And then Addison. And the referee saying calm down, but those words may be falling on deaf ears.
That's a proper cup tie now, isn't it? Having a bit of aggro on the bench. Derby players getting frustrated. Crawley playing some good stuff. The rain's bucketing down, the surface is skiddy. Crawley look more likely to get a second than Derby do, getting back into the game. So just what you expect when you have a cup tie. You turn up and you think non-league, yeah. You say all the right things, you make all the right noises, but once you get out there it's difficult.
Mills. Barker up. Addison. Now Gareth Roberts. Sean Barker. Bailey. It's out of play. Steve Evans claims that Crawley are no ordinary conference team. Of course, their spending power is way beyond the means of any others in that league, but they don't look a non-league side.
No, they've passed it better, John. Passed the ball better in this first half.
Ben Smith.
Those passes up to the striker, into McAllister's feet and Tubbs' feet, have been of decent quality. They've been a quality where the striker can back into defender, can take it in, and can then get some support from midfield, and they've been getting plenty of that.
Smith. Addison came in with a challenge. Danny Bullman. Howell. Addison. Commons. Savage. Nielsen. Howell. McFadden. Offside given. It is early yet, of course, and there's plenty of time with the elements more in their favour for Derby to recover in the second half. Mills. And here's Tubbs, and that should skip through to Stephen Bywater. But were Crawley to win this evening. It would be the most notable achievement by a non-league team in the FA Cup since 1994, when Kidderminster Harriers won at Birmingham. And certainly no sign, Craig, of the flu bug that afflicted and worried many members of the Crawley squad in the 2 days prior to this game.
Absolutely not. And saying that, though, there might be a fair bit of adrenaline going through the veins of these Crawley players. Great opportunity. You'll have watched the FA Cup at the weekend and seen some big teams falter. You and I were at Stephen in Newcastle, along with the rest of our ESPN colleagues, and, well, biggest upset of the round. Another chance, not quite be as big this, but it would be for these lads.
You can probably go a bit further than biggest upset of the round. Biggest upset for maybe a decade in the FA Cup.
As I said on Saturday, your memory's better than mine.
It is a comparison of the forgetful with the absent-minded, though.
Forgotten what you said already.
Smith, Nielsen, goalkeeper takes command.
And that's what they've done really well, I think, Crawley. There's been some really good interplay where when it went up there, the little 1-2 between the strikers, who have played really well, McAllister and Tubbs, as a partnership. They've always had a midfielder, whether it be the right side, Nielsen, or whether it be left side. They've always had somebody running in behind and beyond, which, you know, have Derby had that? Then the answer's no. I mean, Porter's got in behind once from that Savage pass. Yes, they get the penalty, but apart from that, they haven't really got in behind the Crawley defence.
Roberts, Wilson, Tubbs. Sean Barker. McFadden. It's Torres on Commons. Referee plays a good advantage with Paul Green. Savage kept alive for Roberts. And that's where it goes wrong.
Well, let's have a look at the positioning of Derby from this long kick out. Just look at the two the centre back, Barker and Green, the full back, just completely out of position, with Brayford having to tuck round, and then they're at 6s and 7s, and that's from a kick out. You've got two players out of position. You've got the left back who's not really tucked round enough. You've got the other centre half who's in no man's land because they're sleeping at the back, and before you know it, Nigel Clough, you've got a different half-time team talk to give because of sloppy defending. And in all fairness, Crawley have been by far the better side.
Expecting a couple of extra minutes. I thought Derby just want to get into the dressing room and regroup. They had the chance for the early lead, spurned by Chris Commons from the penalty spot. It's Craig McAllister's goal that separates the teams. Mills. Nielsen. Barker. Torres. Oh, Savage there. Caught by Tubbs. And staying down.
Well, I've seen one or two dive-in challenges this weekend that have resulted in red cards. He looked to have played the ball there, Tubbs. Savage is still down. Now, it's yellow. I've got to say, one or two of the tackles this weekend, I think have been harsh. And in fact, I think in seeing some of the challenges this weekend, I think they've been a bit harsh. I think having looked at that one, I think that was a red card. I think that was a red card.
He's got away with it. Only a caution, and the leading scorer stays on, and Savage is saying, you can hear him, two-footed.
Yeah. And when I said you try and leave your mark on bigger name players, now out of all the red cards, if you've watched this weekend, Gerrard, Teote, now he's not shaking it, and I can understand that. Out of every decision this weekend, that has been the worst challenge for me, and that's a yellow. And that's why managers, players, fans get frustrated, because there's no consistency, John. It was a clear two-footed challenge on Robbie Savage. It was dangerous. Luckily he's back on his feet, and Tubbs, the main threat, is still on the field.
Yeah, clear inconsistency. And I just wonder whether this may continue when the players leave the pitch in a few seconds, because there's a fair degree of ill feeling. And Savage involved. It won't improve his mood that the ball hit the referee. Savage, I think, has a red mist around him at the moment, and the half-time whistle may come as something of a blessing.
I think Ben Smith was saying to him there, it wasn't me.
I think he said that,
he said, I've got dark hair, but it wasn't actually me.
That's half-time, and Robbie Savage bellowing at his own teammate there as well, Gareth Roberts. He seems angry with the world, and now he's going across towards the referee accusingly and saying, why didn't you show a red card to my assailant? And now he's going looking for one or two opponents. Now, he's a wise enough old bird, surely, Robbie Savage, to stay out of trouble here, but he's clearly making his feelings known. Derby had the early chance to take the lead through Chris Commons with the penalty. Campos, who gave away the spot kick, saved it. And then, to add insult to injury, Craig McAllister scored the only goal on the half hour. The referee, Mark Hayward, has been a central figure with several decisions that I'm sure will be debated during our half-time discussion. But at half-time here at the Broadfield Stadium, it is non-League One, Football League 0.
Cup time, it's committed. Derby missed a penalty, but justice was done in the eyes of Crawley fans. It's wet here, but not enough for anyone to need to dive in. And when the non-league side scored, their supporters went crazy. Another shock on the cards. League places between the two teams, but in the Derby County dressing room, Robbie Savage still irate about that challenge. We'll get to that in a few minutes' time, but it seems that people are suggesting that needs to be put behind them, and they need to consider how they're going to address getting back in this cup tie. Might have another shock again. First things first, well played Crawley Town, eh?
Well, yeah, you have to all credit to Crawley Town. I mean, Derby County have been terrible, haven't they? I don't think you can be neutral, you can be a Derby fan, but tonight has certainly not been good enough. They've been overrun by Crawley. Crawley played a better football. Admittedly, he should have got sent off, and it would have changed the dynamic of the second half. Yeah. But Crawley are well worth they're the one that leads at the moment.
Yeah. Graham, your Stevenage side showed how to be top flight opposition. Crawley, what's impressed you about the way they've gone about this so far?
They've had the conditions with them, I think, and I think that's played its part. In the second half, I think we'll see the conditions play a part again. But I think they've played on the front foot. They've played real cut, real thrust, a real sense of purpose, and Derby have been very disappointing.
OK, let's take a look at the penalty incident straight away.
Yep.
What a dive, surely.
9.9, I think, for the dive. Nice ball by Robbie Savage. The goalkeeper helps him, I think. He comes, he stops, he stutters. But he's got the awareness at least not to dive in, hasn't it? And it's terrible, sorry to say. It's a dive, he got rewarded for it. And it's a real pity, really, because it's not nice to see, is it?
The goalkeeper's done well, really. I mean, he's come, he's made himself a presence, and he's pulled away from the challenge. And the referee really has made the wrong decision, it has to be said. He's done well, though, the goalkeeper.
Yeah, justice was done, I think, wasn't it? It was a poor penalty.
Now, this place, the rain's pouring in, but all the fans that are getting soaked in, they couldn't care less, the Crawley fans, because it really... And then the goal they scored, it's just about raised the roof. Kuiper's involved again.
I had McAllister. I signed him from Basingstoke when I first went to Stevenage, and if there's one thing about Craig, he's a ruthless finisher, but you have to look at the defending there and say, what are they doing? The fullback in the centre half. Brayford has come across from left side, but the back four is supposed to be a unit. You certainly couldn't call it a unit there.
You know, this is a difficult enough away game for Derby County. You cannot help the opposition in trying to score goals. You know, you have to make it as difficult as possible to score a goal, and that is just a gift, isn't it? A 70-yard punt off the goalkeeper. The wind takes it, the caught out. It's terrible to see. Nigel Clough will be raging about that goal.
Now, a red card offence, is that how you see this?
Oh yeah, without a doubt. I thought it was straight away.
Had to go.
That is a two-footed lunge, if you've ever seen a two-footed lunge.
As the lad said in commentary, you know, there's been challenges all weekend. The challenge in my game, where he walked, and yeah, you could see why he would feel half stunned by. But there's 2 feet going in there. Savage lucky to escape injury.
Yeah. Stubbsy, it doesn't matter whether you're Howard's Webb at yesterday's game or Mark Haywood tonight. He is 2 yards away from that challenge and misses it. The penalty, he misses that. 2 big decisions tonight that he's got wrong.
Derby have lost all 10 games when they've been behind at half-time. What do they need to do? Can you see them getting back in this, given the fact that this crowd here are going to really get behind their team?
I honestly think conditions will make a difference in the second half. I think the wind out there has helped Crawley to get on the front foot and stay on the front foot, and Derby have battled against the conditions and struggled vainly. But I think the conditions will make a difference, and I think if they get the ball down, Derby, start working it, they've got to add some impetus. I think in the middle of the park, Crawley have been strong, they've passed the ball well, they've got to get out of the middle of the park for starters.
Yeah, they'll certainly have the wind on the side, won't they? And you would presume they'll have the majority of possession, Derby County, and they cannot possibly play as bad as they did in the first half.
This is a proper cup tie, and the Crawley fans will urge their team on to supply another shock result in the FA Cup. Notts County did it, Stevenage did it, Burton Albion did it, and non-league Crawley Town think they're on for the greatest night in their history. Second half on the way. Crawley Town of the Conference, that's the 5th tier of English Football 1. Derby County of the Championship, that's in the 2nd tier 0. That's the half-time score in tonight's 3rd round FA Cup tie, sponsored by Aon, live here on ESPN. And Crawley goalkeeper Michael Kuipers, well, he's been out for the second half ages ago. Steve McManaman and Graham Wesley are in the ESPN studio. Did he go in for half-time at all?
I think he must have went in. He's certainly been outside, having plenty of practice, getting warmed up. He's got his the reserve goalkeeper out with him, and he's just...
You can understand it, can't you? I mean, the ball has been doing some strange things. Corners have been, whipped out towards the penalty spot and bending towards the goal. So you can understand why he'd be out here doing it.
Let's grab a quick word with Nigel Clough, with Darryl.
Nigel, on the way off, your players weren't happy about that challenge. What did you make of that and the first half?
It's right in the middle of everybody. You can't really see from here, but the players were very displeased at the time. We've battled away, given a soft goal away. Penalty goes in, it's a different game.
Thank you for your time.
Pleasure.
Well, back on the commentary again to Craig Bailey and John Champion. Another shock on the cards, guys. What a great cup tie.
Yes, we've just got that Stevenage feeling all over again. And Derby, like Newcastle, not performing.
Yeah, well, I was going to say it's a great cup tie if you're a Crawley fan or a Crawley player at the moment. It's not a great cup tie if you're a Derby fan.
Robbie Savage has had 15 minutes to calm down.
Oh, I don't think we've seen the last of that, John.
Derby in their change kit, the yellow and the blue, playing from left to right now in the second half and trying to avoid their worst cup defeat since 1956. That is what this would be. They lost at New Brighton of the Lancashire Combination that year. Only 3 times in their largely distinguished history have they been eliminated by non-league opposition. But they're up against it here, trailing to Craig McAllister's 30th minute goal and having spurned a first half penalty through Chris Commons. Reminder of the starting lineups. Crawley's side is that which won impressively at Swindon in the second round replay. Remember, £275,000 record scorer Richard Brodie there in reserve on the bench. And Derby 13th in the Football League Championship, with a couple of their younger players, Addison and Pringle, in midfield. They only really have one genuine striker available to them at the moment, and that's Chris Porter. Brayford encouraging the left back Roberts forward. Porter is waiting, so is Bailey, and McFadden sorts it out. Ben Smith now to the fortunate Tubbs. Fortunate because he should have been sent off for that 2-footed challenge. Tubbs it is who wins the corner.
Well, Ben Smith actually did that quite a lot when he just picked up the knockdown in midfield, and that allowed Crawley just to get on the front foot and stretch that Derby back four. Now, they don't have anybody they don't have 2 on the post, Derby. They have somebody in the near post. They don't have anybody on the back post, which, when Bywater flapped at one in the first half, was a bit of a dangerous area for them. Nobody on that post. I always find that a little bit strange.
Howell to take amidst teeming rain. Addison's header. It comes out to James Bailey. Steve Evans tried to carve out a professional career for himself as a player with Bolton. Had the distinction of being the apprentice who had to look after Messrs Allardyce and Reed and Frank Worthington. So he certainly knows how to enjoy life.
Yeah, we went round about the tunnel there earlier and went round to see him, and there was a bottle of wine in his office. I had to get out quick. New Year's resolution and all that. Never drink before you work, obviously, John. Sort of bail myself out there.
Talking of bailing ourselves out, we might be doing that in our commentary position before long, so heavy is this rain. Commons. There is the co-owner of Crawley Town, Bruce Winfield, the man who helped get all the investors together to make the club debt-free and to provide funding for this extravagant spending, certainly by non-league standards. Here's McAllister. It's all part of what they call project promotion. Ben Smith's cross. Matt Tubbs couldn't control it. They aim to get in League One within 5 years, and if they can take a few FA Cup scalps along the way, all well and good. Addison was fouled after the ball had gone. It's telling that Crawley's outlay last summer in buying in 18 new players was more in terms of transfer fees than all the League Two clubs put together. Here's Bailey for Derby. Fadian. Back by Sean Barker.
I think looking at Derby at the moment is what went in the second half, John, that to my mind and memory there's only one time, and that was for the penalty that should never have been, that Porter has been in behind any of the two centre backs, Mills or McFadden. I've actually had to turn and run back into a channel. It's not happened.
It's worth repeating that conditions in theory favour Derby County rather more in this second half. A strong wind at their backs, don't have the rain in their eyes anymore, and this is Chris Porter with a chance of an equaliser. Now Bailey, and it drifts disappointingly behind. You were just saying Chris Porter hasn't really got in behind very much apart from the penalty incident, and there he goes.
Yeah, well, McFadden just stepped up there when really there was not enough pressure on the ball, and the angle slightly against him. That's a good save from Cowpers, but he hits it pretty much straight at him. But yeah, exactly. I mean, I think the two centre-halves won't want to get turned on, that's for sure, but there's not been enough of that down the channel for Porter to go into. That's the second time, and the second time something's almost came of it.
And again Miles Addison, his first start in 10 months. Very promising younger player. He's just had his 22nd birthday, Addison. Mills. Sergio Torres. Robbie Savage. Gareth Roberts. Nielsen back at him, winning the race and keeping possession. Torres. John Brayford. Howell. Barker. Offside against Tubbs.
Well, I think Crawley know they can hit it in behind, John, because the wind's holding the ball up, that's for sure, so that's negating any way of the rain just spinning it through to the goalkeeper, so I think that is an out ball for Crawley.
Offside again. Referee with Derby in possession plays the advantage. Two bounces from Bywater all the way through to his opposite number, Cowpers. Derby with just one win in their last 7 games. Nigel Clough said publicly they are short on confidence. And that is becoming a real issue here, given the stiff challenge posed by Crawley, second in the Blue Bet Premier. 3 points behind the leaders AFC Wimbledon with 3 games in hand. Tubbs. Halted by Barker. It's a good challenge. Brayford. Bullman. Ben Smith. There's real desire about Crawley. Here's Tubbs.
Well, I didn't quite get the desired power on it, but again the football from Crawley was excellent. I did well to hold on to it.
Now here's Nielsen. He's in, Nielsen! And the goalkeeper stood up well.
Well, as Mills won the challenge on Savage, and I tell you, by God, it was wholehearted, but it was fair. Brayford just played them onside, played 2 of them onside.
Game just beginning to open up a little more now, and this is Ben Pringle. A little bit more to encourage Derby.
That's a great challenge here from Pablo Mills. Maybe Savage just hurdles over it. No, she's not going to get there. Brayford's played the 2 of them onside. Might have squared it. Difficult ball.
Here's Savage. Porter. Skews behind off Ben Smith. The weather conditions now are as bad as they've been at any stage. Addison. Porter had a swing at it. McAllister can clear. Scott Nielsen. Porter. Addison. Smith. 2 ahead of him. One of them is Tubbs. Bullman. Torres. There are 3 players in this Derby 11 who have unhappy memories of a not dissimilar occasion in the 3rd round 2 years ago at Forest Green, when Derby eventually prevailed 4-3 with a late penalty, having trailed 2-0 and 3-2. Here's Bullman. Brayford. And he was tugged, hence the free kick. McAllister. Barker. Now John Brayford. Referee's whistle is gone. There is plenty of activity on both benches at the moment. In part it's players keeping themselves warm, but would you expect Derby in particular to make a change before long?
Yeah, it's not really working with him. Young Bailey in behind the The lone striker, Chris Porter, who we're hearing from our guys downstairs, only touched the ball sort of 19 times in the game, so they've not been able to get him into the game. He has had, well, one half-decent chance in the second half down the left. Obviously he won the penalty, which I think we've shown in the replays that wasn't a penalty. But apart from that, he's been isolated, and that has been Derby's problem of late, is getting goals. We've got problems in that area.
Winners of this tie go to Torquay in round 4. Torquay and Crawley, recent opponents in the conference. Torquay and Derby have never met before, and they may not meet this year. Torquay's manager Paul Buckle in the crowd tonight watching. Miles Addison. Paul Green, useful cross, but in the end well defended.
Yeah, I think anything that comes in around that 6-yard box, you've got to make sure you've obviously got enough defenders in there, and the defenders are tight, which they were that time to Porter. Just managed to get it away.
It's Barker's header. Substitution time. Robbie Savage is coming off, but I think they meant number 18 rather than number 8. Doesn't seem to be enough numbers on the board. Anyway, it's Thomas Sivka, Polish under-21 international winger, who has come on in place of Ben Pringle, and Robbie Savage stays on.
It's amazing how difficult it is, you know, to get numbers on these electronic boards.
Commons, Roberts, Bailey, Miles Addison. Green, down goes Sivka. Spent quite a while at Wigan Athletic, Sivka, but only made a couple of appearances. So Derby have sent both central defenders forward, Brayford and Barker, for this. It's taken by Commons. It's a great header. It's an emphatic equaliser. Miles Addison wheeling away all those months of pain, of injury, of surgery in the United States. And now the sheer relief of an equalising goal here at Crawley.
Well, I think you can just see the relief on the lad there, really. I wouldn't say they're too deep, although it might have just nipped him offside if they'd stepped up. Gets round the back here, gets a jump on his marker. He's been out so long, Miles Addison. One so young, he's had to go through the operation. He went to America, lots of talent, a long time out of the game for somebody as young, but he's no doubt spent a lot of painful hours in the gym and the rehab. And when you get a goal like that in a game like this, especially when you're behind John, it's all worthwhile.
Second goal of Miles Addison's FA Cup career. His first came against Manchester United. These very difficult surroundings, very different surroundings, but a hugely important goal for his side. Now what have Crawley got?
Well, I think in general play the answer would be actually quite a lot. But it's now how they respond to what has no doubt been a body blow for them. Because they've had lots of good play in the game, they've had lots of good play in the second half, they've not slackened off, they've still passed it well, they've created chances, but they've been caught out there, caught out at the back post.
McAllister. Ran astray. This is Commons. McFadden. Ben Smith. Three non-league representatives survived to round 3 of the FA Cup sponsored by E.ON this year. York went out bravely at Bolton, Dover at Huddersfield. Here's Tubbs for Crawley. And it's a corner kick. Dean Howell, the left back, takes all of these. Here's Pablo Mills, who spent the first 5 years of his career at Derby. Porter. They've got men over here. This is Commons for Savage. Good challenge by Bullman. Tubbs. Crawley will at some stage presumably introduce Richard Brodie, their club record signing, to the mix. Mills. It is substitution time by Crawley, and it will be the man who cost £275,000 from York City with seconds remaining before the deadline in the summer transfer window. And it is the goal scorer, Craig McAllister, who's being replaced.
He's looked quite lively, hasn't he? And is it like for like with Brodie, big strong boy?
Yeah. Certainly a physical presence will occupy and concern defenders. Scored 34 times last season for York. And only got his move to Crawley because his uncle had a fax machine that he was able to sign his contract for.
Well, he's not touched it yet, but the referee's going to have a word with him. A little bit of pushing on Porter just from the throw in there.
Torres. Nielsen. Very determined, Scott Nielsen. Comes from good FA Cup stock. His grandfather was the great Cliff Jones, the flying winger in the Spurs double-winning team. Sergio Torres. Glenn Wilson allowed the ball to run out. Brodie. First real involvement for Richard Brodie. He says corner. Referee, who's much more important, says goal kick. Brodie. Paul Hemel Green. Matthew Tubbs. Addison. Mills. Sifka. Crawley ball. Torres. Powell. Roberts. Crawley are preparing to withdraw Sergio Torres. Send on David Hunt, another midfield man. Sifka. Advantage played with Savage. Now Commons. And here's the fullback Roberts, unattended by Crawley. McFadden.
Just slipped, John. He just slipped the conditions there and lost his foot as he was about to put it in.
Tubbs. Skip away off what is now extremely wet turf.
Just wonder if the Crawley lads are getting a bit tired now. They've been going at it hammer and tongs now for over 70 minutes. A real tempo to the game. Steve Evans might be thinking about maybe making some changes.
That's what relief looks like. Been a change of plan with the substitution because of the knock sustained by Scott Nielsen. It's he who's being taken off instead of Sergio Torres. And David Hunt, signed recently on loan from Brentford with a view to a permanent deal, comes on to take Nielsen's place. And it looks like Torres is going to move out to the right side. Brodie kept it in. Barker. Charged down by Ben Smith. Barker has to do it again and protects the ball, so it's a goal kick.
Well, let's have a look at the marking at the back post. We've got Glenn Wilson picking up Miles Addison, just shaded him at the back there. Now he's touched tight there, but as soon as he drops off a couple of yards, he just gives Addison that little bit of leeway to get a run on him. So the marking initially was good, but then once he drops off that couple of yards, then Addison gets the run, and that's it, it's all over. The ball's good, he's bigger, he's stronger, and he's always going to beat him with a running jump. Why he dropped off there, I'm just not quite so sure, because they had a decent line, Crawley, as a back four. Wilson just dropped in a little bit, and Addison took full advantage.
Brodie. Smith asking an awful lot of Richard Brodie to get to that, but Barker looks uncertain, hopes for a whistle from the referee, but turns round to say a corner given. And Crawley's supporters shoehorned into the Broadfield Stadium, finding renewed voice. Behind off Savage.
Not the intended target, George. It's a little grin from Robbie Savage there. He wasn't grinning earlier when Tubbs two-footed him. Absolutely, he did every right, I tell you, to be angry there. That was one that Crawley got away with.
Howell. Savage. Back goes David Hunt. Brodie. Hunt. Ben Smith has gone hunting for that. The referee has spotted an infringement and given a free kick. So, quarter of an hour or so to go. Delicately poised. Let's hear from Steve Evans, the Crawley manager, with Darryl.
With Brodie and Tubbs on up front now, is there a belief, Steve, you can still finish this tonight?
Well, there's a belief that we also have to stay in the cup tie. You know, we just thought Macker was losing a little bit of energy, and they've got in the cup tie through Dino going to ground early, giving a free kick away, and Will's not doing his job. But you know, it's end to end, isn't it? Conditions are making it slippery and difficult for both teams. But we're getting them a game. That's what's important.
Are you disappointed you let them back into it?
Well, we're always disappointed when we can see the goal, especially if it's a sloppy one. We should have had the game done by then, so we missed two good chances to go 2-up.
Thanks, Steve.
Still far from over. Ben Smith. Brodie.
Again, Smith picked up the second ball, John. He's been absolutely excellent at that tonight.
Brodie again. Spending most of his time out on this left flank at the moment, Richard Brodie. Howell. Offside. Plenty more live football to enjoy here on ESPN at the end of the week on Saturday at tea time from the Barclays Premier League. A tasty London derby, struggling West Ham against challengers Arsenal. Prior to that, late morning from the SPL, Hibs against Celtic is our live offering. And a week tomorrow, a third round replay from the FA Cup sponsored by E.ON, and a very attractive one too. Manchester City against Leicester, live from Eastlands following that 2-2 draw in the Midlands yesterday.
And by the way, Leicester City played ever so well, so that's no foregone conclusion, no matter what money Manchester City are spending.
Sol Bamba is the man, isn't he?
Well, he was yesterday. Although if you ask Hibs fans, they wouldn't be saying he's the man. But he had a good debut, he had a very good debut in terms of scoring that goal.
Pablo Mills. Commons. Derby emerged from here unscathed. They'll consider it a job ultimately well done. It's a very tricky assignment for them, indeed for any league team coming here. Some sign of how far Crawley Town have come. Evans believes that many of their players could play at League One level, certainly maybe Championship level. This is their chance to prove it. Barker, Addison, scorer of Derby's equaliser, Miles Addison. McAllister got Crawley's goal. Off goes Richard Brodie, and Brodie was on his way down very early there.
Yeah, I think it was Barker, was it, just getting across, and they didn't seem to have poked a leg out, Barker, in all fairness there. No, it doesn't do anything at all wrong. I think he lost his footing more than anything.
Roberts.
They played much better here tonight, John, Crawley, than they did here against Swindon when they got the 1-1 draw. I think it was 1-1, if memory serves me right.
Yes, yes.
And played well obviously at Swindon and got through, but they've played much better here against obviously a side in the Championship, much better side than Swindon. There's no guarantee that means you've gone through, though, does it?
No, and I think the manager of Crawley, Steve Evans, feels that Swindon maybe believed that they'd done their job when they got the draw here. But he says that Crawley played far better away from home at the county ground in the replay. Torres. Sivka. Nice kick by Commons. Now Porter, but the offside flag had long since gone up. Well, Nigel Clough's father never had that much luck with the FA Cup. Eventually reached a final after many years of trying, and then was disappointed on the big day. Clough Jr., well, maybe his best moment as a manager. That goalless draw when Burton Albion held Manchester United. Boot on the other foot tonight. It's Pablo Mills. Robbie Savage is going to come off in a minute. They'll be guaranteed an ovation of sorts. Here's Tubbs. He showed too much to Brayford. Kyle McFadden. Stumble by Torres. So is Derby against Crawley to be a fifth third round replay. Only 4 at the moment. See the strength of the wind illustrated there. So a change of captain. Robbie Savage hands the armband to Sean Barker. And let's enjoy, shall we, Crawley's farewell to Derby's captain.
Yeah, well, I think he can thank his lucky stars that he's actually walking off, because it could have been much worse, and he might have found himself on a stretcher there. Luckily and thankfully for Robbie Savage, like you would for any player, there wasn't any, it would seem, damage to that, but there might have been. And I'm sure he will remember that if indeed this game goes to a replay, as one normally would.
The player that's come on is Dean Moxey. who has played here and scored here before for Exeter in the conference. Torres. Brayford. Brodie. Ben Smith. Crawley have three in the middle. Smith hangs one up.
A good punch, really good punch.
And then a really bad pass by Bullman. Hunt. Howell. Off Sivka for a Crawley throw. Brodie, Addison. Considering the way Derby were rocking, they've actually steadied themselves reasonably well in this game. So after Crawley scored one, it seemed likely that if there was to be another goal, it would be the non-leaguers that would get it. Danny Bullman. Half blocked by Addison. The flag goes up for offside on the far side.
I think Ben Smith could have been doing with passing that in front of Wilson, the full-back, to come onto there. It's a little bit square, John. I've been really impressed by Smith, as you can see the offside there. I've been really impressed by him. His energy levels have been unbelievable. And any thoughts of Steve Evans or Crawley have got just playing now for a replay is not happening, because whenever they've got the ball, they've almost got four up front. They've got the two strikers, they've got two wide, and they've got the guys in midfield that just sit in there and give them a bit of protection. So they ain't playing for a replay at this moment in time. They're playing to win it.
Are you alright? Dino! Get in! Yes! Get in!
Torres. It's a neat escape. Smith. And Brayford couldn't afford uncertainty. It's cost a corner.
Well, I think there was, because I think initially he was going to leave it, actually. It looks like he was going to leave. Whether they got a shout from Bywater or not, I don't know. But anyway, they dealt with it for the moment.
Only once before have Crawley Town played in round 3 of the FA Cup. Nearly 20 years ago, they lost 5-0 at the Goldstone. They win here tonight. It's the biggest night in their history. Howell's corner. Easy take for Bywater this time.
Well, I think at least when you swing it in like that, John, in these conditions, I think the least thing that you can expect the Crawley manager is somebody to go and put Bywater under a bit of pressure there, especially the conditions, not to just allow him to take a clean catch.
Be a few bumpy landings down the road at Gatwick tonight, given the high winds. There's no flag. This is Commons. Had a real chance to play Sivka in there.
So another sign of them playing offside with no pressure on the ball.
Paul Green. Bailey. Barker. Richard Brodie. Howell. Barker. Hunt. Goal kick it is. If it stays 1-1, will that be a fair reflection, Craig, or not?
In all honesty, I think in open play, I think Crawley have played the better football, John. I think they've probably had been in the Derby penalty box more often. They've looked more likely. I honestly believe it's one of those nights, in my experience, where if you're Derby at the moment against this Crawley side who want to upset the apple cart, it's just about now getting back to Pride Park, getting yourself in that dressing room, getting the draw, taking them back and trying to get the job done and dusted in the replay.
Commons. Cover from David Hunt.
done better all game. It's just anything that's dropped in about the midfield, Crawley have picked most things up.
Weekend of dramatic moments in the third round of the Cup. And still time here. Hunt. Torres, back to David Hunt. Oh, that's lovely. The pass wasn't so good. It's Torres! And it got a flick off the head of Paul Green that held it over.
Yeah, I mean, great play. Lovely little touch here, and the ball's actually read back into Smith. That's well defended. Addison, and a little touch off Green, just sends it over. Little nick, that was going in. That was going to just nip under the crossbar by the looks of it.
Umpteen corners for Crawley tonight, but just the one goal. It's Torres! Crawley have won it to the death! The manager is on the pitch! And non-league Crawley Town are on the brink of downing the 2 times league champions. What a weekend in the FA Cup!
Well, the third round drama just rolls on and rolls on. I mean, it's almost never ending. They talk about revamping this FA Cup. Well, when you see nights and days and weekends that we've had, then you just wonder why. But I don't know if they've worked on that in the training ground or whether it was just they've just spotted that little gap there. I don't know, but anyway, how that ball finds its way all the way across to Torres is unbelievable. And there he goes, the joyous manager, right at the death. His team have been excellent, and it looks like they're over the line.
Well, a yellow card for Sergio Torres for the removal of the shirt, and will he care? Not one jot.
But John, all the Derby players back in that box picking up. They had plenty of yellow shirts back in there. There was no excuse. It drilled all the way across. It run across the face of the box, on the diagonal, right to the edge, and nobody was close. It was a great side footer. I mean, he could easily have just have put his laces through that and spinned it 100 yards over the top of that stand because it's not the tallest. But no, he didn't. He didn't. He showed composure.
Well, a late, desperate substitution. But what can Derby do now? And whilst we're watching the replays of the goal, sad to have to report there was a minor incursion onto the pitch at the left-hand end. Stephen Bywater was at one point manhandled by a supporter who thankfully did nothing at all similar to that visited upon Scott Laird at Stevenage, but even so the stewards had to scramble. Ben Smith is going off for Crawley. And if anyone left the Broadfield early tonight, they've made a major error of judgment. Paul Green. And it's all or nothing for Derby now. On the brink, all of a sudden, of embarrassing elimination. Crawley, a club that nearly died only 4 years ago, an hour from extinction, and now on the verge of the 4th round of the FA Cup for the first time. Addison. Commons. Torres. Not for long, it's Bailey, and it's desperate for Derby. And Barker is forward, and the goalkeeper Kalpers gathers.
John, and what it means to these lads if they can get over the line, and the lads of Stevenage on Saturday, and anybody else that caused an upset. You know, it's a real shot in the arm, I think, for this competition, and I really can't abide the Premier League managers that say, you know, we can't afford to try and go all the way in the FA Cup. What absolute nonsense. If you can't play another 5 or 6 games, then there's something wrong. I'm sorry.
Brodie has booted the ball halfway to Horsham. ball is summoned from the far side. And barring the very unlikely, Derby are going out of the cup. Their worst cup defeat in more than half a century. Richard Brodie for Crawley.
Do you know what? They've deserved it. If they get over the line, they've deserved it. I mean, they've played the better football. They've been sharper in midfield. They've picked up more second balls. They've looked a threat up front. They've got a bit of luck because Tubbs should have been sent off, and I'm sure the Crawley manager wouldn't disagree with that when he sees it again.
Paul Green. Dean Moxey has scored here before. Won't score with that. He will win a corner. And there is barely time for it to be taken. Steve Evans wants the whistle.
Well, what's that? It's a minute and a half over, isn't it?
I'm surprised the goalkeeper hasn't come up for this. It's Commons. And the referee says that the ball veered out of play before coming back in, and that may be Derby's final opportunity gone.
Yeah, as soon as the goalkeeper takes this, then he's going to blow. I don't think you've got anything more to worry about. I'm almost sure it's going to be the last kick.
Only the cup can provide moments like these. Agony at one end, joy at the other, just waiting for the whistle. Brayford's header. McFadden. Wilson.
Has he dropped his watch? How long's he playing? I mean, that's 4 minutes injury time. That's 96 and a half nearly.
There's a long delay after the goal. That's all I can think of. Crawley desperate for the whistle. Sergio Torres. Ball booted clear. It's a crackerjack night for Crawley. The club that flirted with extinction, now embracing total ecstasy. It is the best night of Crawley Town's lives, and there may be more to come. The side from West Sussex keeps the non-league flag flying through to the 4th round of the Cup. And whilst one can never condone a pitch invasion, one can almost understand it, because never before have the people of Crawley seen a night like this.
Well, if they play like that most weeks, they won't be in the conference for long, but that's easier said than done on a week-to-week basis. But they just responded for their manager the night like you wouldn't believe, for their supporters, for the town of Stevenage. Unbelievable. The way they played, John, the way they took responsibility, they got on the ball, they wanted to pass it even under pressure. They passed it out from the back, they defended when they had to. They lost that goal, the equaliser. They could have folded, they didn't, and they were always a threat going forward. Always a threat. And some of their football, the way they opened Derby up wasn't conference football, it was league football. And some of these lads might just be heading for the Football League, but one thing's for sure, they're certainly heading to the 4th round of the FA Cup, and boy, they deserve it.
They will go to Torquay. A trip to the English Riviera awaits Crawley. They will fancy that, and they could be only the 6th non-league side in the history of the Cup to make it through to the last 16. That's looking well ahead, but already those thoughts are crossing their minds. They were in the thoughts of their manager even before this game, so confident was he. To put it in context, it's the best result for a non-league team in the FA Cup for 17 years, since Kidderminster's win at Birmingham. And this is what it means to the footballing public of Crawley, reared on the Southern League, conditioned to serial failure and mediocrity, and now embracing the idea of being winners, of being upwardly mobile. The Football League beckons, so too more immediately the 4th round of the Cup. And nor should we forget that at last the FA Cup headlines are being made by Torres, but not Fernando, little known Sergio. The celebrations still continuing on the pitch. The Derby supporters, apart from a few who are still tidying up their flag at the right-hand end of the ground, have long since departed. The goal scorers, Torres with the winner, but just as crucial, the first half strike from Craig McAllister, who's now with Daryl Curry.
Yeah, thank you, John. We're trying to get Sergio Torres in, but he's outside in Gulf. But Craig, let's come to you first. What are the emotions like in there at the moment?
where, as you can see, all the fans are crowding all the lads outside, but I've yet to go in and see how the lads reacting to it all.
After your first goal, did you think at that point in the game, when they went back to 1-1, did you think you'd blown your chance tonight?
Well, we knew they were going to come back with something because they're a quality championship side, and it's the old saying of the cup again, isn't it? Windy, cold night and rainy, and we come out and we won.
And here's the man, Sergio Torres. Had to be a name like Torres, didn't it, in the FA Cup? First time Crawley have ever been in the 4th round. How do you feel?
Oh, unbelievable. I just was 10 minutes there with the fans, like gathering with every fans, and it's just unbelievable feeling for the club, for everyone. I just want to dedicate this winner to the family of Richard Brodie, passed away today. I played with him last year at Lincoln, and it was a really sad news going to the game today. But my whole family is watching it back home, and my friends, so just dedicate to everyone.
That's a fantastic gesture. But tell me, you must have been the coolest man in the ground when the ball came to you at the edge of the box. Didn't try to blast it, did you?
No, I just tried to, because it was really pacey, and I thought if I smash it, I can go over the bar. So I just I done like a tapsy on Maka, so it was a good finish. I should have scored one before. I couldn't believe how he saved it in the line, but great feeling.
There must be a feeling now with Torquay next. You've beaten teams in the Championship now. You must feel that you can go on in this cup competition.
Well, of course, the gaffer said before the game, if we beat Derby today, we've got a good chance of progressing this competition, and we believe in us.
TNT partnership there, Tubbs and Torres, he's away in.
TNT, yeah, we always laughing about that, TNT with Tubbsy, and like I say, we're confident in the team, and I think we can beat anyone, really.
Well, it was the second T in the TNT that gets the FA sponsored by Eon Man of the Match tonight. Craig, will you do the honours to Torres?
Thank you very much.
Finish. Well done, you.
Thank you, Maka.
Thank you.
From Macy's Stock, yeah?
Cheers. Well done, Sergeant.
Well, in the true traditions of the FA Cup, non-league Crawley have really shown everyone. You did it at the weekend, Bert, now you're Notts County, and in the dressing room, I think, congratulations to these boys, because they'll remember this for the rest of their lives, and the 61 league places all of a sudden aren't there. And congratulations to the Crawley Town. Steve McManaman,
I fancied them, Stubbsy, you know that I fancied them. But it's fantastic, isn't it? And it's great for ESPN, the fact that they had Stevenage in a giant killing act, and this, we threatened afterwards. We said what a story it'd be, and it's brilliant, isn't it? And a Blue Square Premier League team to beat, the Championship side on a night like this with, all the crowds here. It's